everyone. How's it going? How has your Saturday been? I hope it's doing good. Let me get my camera on now. Yes, let's get this turned down. We need to turn it down. We need to dial it down. The chilled out music needs to go into the background till I can barely hear it. Is it stopped? No, it's not stopped. That's a loud song. That's a new one on the playlist this week, by the way. So, of course, it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It is time for the Voice Britannia Ganzo Bomb wrestling video podcast type thing. Now, one moment. I thought I heard an echo. Clearly, I'm just tripping. I've got no idea why, but I'm hearing loads of echo. Why am I hearing echoes? I don't know why I'm hearing echoes. Things sound weird today. Have I put an effect on? Maybe. Have I put an echo on something? I guess it's possible. Okay, so let's just put that to the back of our minds for a minute and get on with the show. So, of course, my name is Steve, and you are, I hope, watching the Voice Britannia Twitch channel. Of course, if you are not watching this live on a Saturday afternoon while I host this live to you, I hope that you are somewhere else watching on YouTube or hopefully another channel that I run where our content can go and we can try and get some sweet traction from. But yeah, this is the Ganzo Bomb Wrestling Podcast. This is my own wrestling podcast. Most people that watch streams I'm on will see me chatting about wrestling. You'll see me chatting about... they'll see me chatting about politics. You'll see me chatting about Prime Minister's questions. What else have I been talking about this week? Oh, loads of shit. I talk about loads of shit. But one of my main passions is wrestling, and this is why we are here. So, quick update this week on the channel. We have achieved affiliate status on Twitch. So, if you can, well, I mean, you should do this anyway. You should follow us on Twitch. I'm a solid follow. What can I say? But yeah, if you can, follow us on Twitch, and if you've got a spare subscription, consider subscribing to our channel, because we are an affiliate now. We can get subscriptions. We can start making some money off this channel. I need to get money to pay my Photoshop bills. I need money so I can have Premiere again, and I can edit videos. And then I can also, and if I get Photoshop done, then I can get emotes in the chat. We can get emotes everywhere. It'll all fall into place. So yeah, if you have a spare subscription, consider pressing that button down there and giving us a subscription, because that would really, really help us. That's on Twitch, by the way, for if you're watching on YouTube, because I'm aware that people watch on YouTube too. So hello. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. It could be any day, any week, any month, any year. This could be on one of these TV shows in the year 2050 where they're laughing at people on YouTube. And if they are, hey, I tried. What can I say? So, this week, we're going to start with some good news, some non-AEW news. Jim Cornette blocked me on Twitter. So I'm going to celebrate this by talking about a style of wrestling, the sweaty, carny, numpty hits wrestling, which is not stuck in the 1980s. AEW, because that carny twat hates it. He hates AEW. Why? Because it's entertaining, and because it's not his. I don't really understand why people get like him. I really don't, but they do. But I hear you ask, why? How did I manage to get myself blocked by the bastion of morality, Jim Cornette? Well, a few weeks ago, there were a load of fans on Twitter. Now, people on Twitter within the wrestling bubble will have seen this. There was loads of people attacking Y2J because he dared to donate to a political party. Now, we've got to first separate this here, right? Y2J is not Donald Trump. He has never called for an insurrection of the United States. He's never done any of that. He's just a rich person, and rich people look after their interests. One of the ways they do that is by getting grifted by politicians into giving them money. Now, it seems like Chris Jericho has managed to get himself grifted into giving large amounts of money to politicians. And wouldn't you know, these things are public, so people found out. And of course, people don't like Trump. There's a lot of heat on Trump and his followers at the moment. And a lot of that heat's been put onto Chris Jericho within the wrestling community. Now, the biggest The most ironic thing about this is that the majority of this heat is coming from WWE fans and people who are just trying to score points in this fucking stupid AEW WWE war that doesn't need to exist and only exists within the minds of a fanatic minority of social media idiots. But I digress. They were giving Jericho crap for donating to a party. They're trying to tell him how democracy works by telling him he can't do what he wants, which just blows my mind. And yeah, most of them were WWE fans, which just made it completely ironic because, you know, WWE, the company that Linda McMahon like half owns, the woman that literally is a member of the Republican Party and donates millions with her husband. But I noticed that Cornette, he was using this situation to do what he does best, like to be an asshole for the sake of being an asshole. So I merely stepped in. I was like, look, this is pathetic. You're just being an asshole to be an asshole. And wouldn't you know it, he blocked me. Because he likes listening. I don't know. He does this a lot. He blocks a lot of people on Twitter, so he does. I've never really understood people that just insta-block people for not agreeing with them. Because you learn more by not agreeing with people than you do when you agree with people. Now, we could argue who is more pathetic here, but it's really not worth it. And hey, should I really be lowering myself to argue with someone who thought falling off a scaffolding with no practice or experience would be a good spot in a wrestling match? No. Now, I will give him credit if you've seen it. It is one of the funnier botches in wrestling, because it wasn't meant to do that. It was a botch. I think it happened in the early 80s where Jim Cornette did the whole scaffolding thing, and instead of just like falling off in a way that would have protected himself, he just like... He thought that was a good idea. That's the level of intelligence we're working here with Jim Cornette. So quite frankly, he can do what he wants. He can block who he wants. And that's cool by me. He can do what the fuck he wants in his life. But this is not the Jim Cornette Duncan Award. We're not here to talk about that closeted trumpet. We are here to talk about something we like talking about. Professional wrestling. So, let's get to the meat and two veg of the show. Let's talk about this week's AEW Dynamite, and then we'll have a little quick look at this week's AEW and NXT ratings. Which again, I have forgot to take the picture of, which I just realised, but hey, what can I say? I have spent the last 3 hours typing my notes up for this show. Last week I didn't actually have notes for this show, I just kind of had bullet points. I knew the matches, and I just worked through it. This week, I took full notes. I have full notes for everything. I have broken every match down into my own little match review system. I've got images. We've got all sorts of stuff. This is going to be cool. So let's get into new AEW New Year's Smash Night 2, as we can see in the picture there. This was on the Wednesday, the 13th of January, 2021. Now, quick note. I have been asked why I review AEW on a Saturday and not on a Thursday like the majority of wrestling media. The fact is, I could review it on a Thursday, as I watch it on Fight, and I could quite easily do that even in the UK. But the fact is, in the UK, right, AEW is on a Friday night quite late, and since AEW started on a Friday night, even though I watch AEW on a Thursday, I like to sit back, chill out on a Friday night when AEW is on TV and sit and watch it again. Why? I don't know. I just really like it. It's a show I like. So I like wrestling, and I'll happily sit and watch it on a Friday night. So, my thinking with my scheduling of these shows is that I'm in the UK, so I'm aiming more for the UK market. So I thought if I record my reviews on a Saturday, it gives the UK people a chance to watch it, and I'm not spoiling anything, and I can still have my late night Friday wrestling session, and I can take my notes there, and I can do all this on a Saturday, and it's all nice and stressless, or it's low stress, but taking a lot of notes is quite stressful. So I think next week I will probably start taking the notes on the Thursday, so they're all typed up and stuff on the Friday, Saturday, and leaving me on the Saturday just to take images, and that way I can sit and drink gin and watch wrestling on a Friday night and chill out. It's going to be a challenge, but I'm going to get there. I've got no idea if this is a good idea, but it is an idea that works for me. So let's get into it. This week's AEW. The first match on tonight's show was Pac versus Eddie Kingston. Now, Pac was accompanied by Phoenix and Penta, as usual, the Death Triangle, and Eddie Kingston was with his crew, the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. So this week's show started with a nice singles match. It was really, really good. I quite liked it. It was just a great start. It was a great starter match. Before the match, we got this really good promo video that detailed the months worth of build-up between Pac and Eddie Kingston, how it started, how it's been going, and how it all built up to this point on Wednesday. Pac was just great in this video. I absolutely loved it. He went pure Geordie. He's like, "Aye man, you're taking a fucking piss like." That's a bad Geordie impression, but you get it. Geordies, proper Geordies, when they get proper angry, are proper intimidating, and it was great. It is awesome to see Geordie Pac. It's like Biffa Bacon, you know what I mean? It's amazing. More Geordie Pac, please. So the match started fast and hard. There was no messing around. Pac took control and literally beat Kingston around the ring. Let's see if I can keep up with my images this week. Whoa, look at that promo picture. So there we go. I'm going to keep up with the images this week because I kept forgetting last week. So Pac took control of the match and he literally beat Kingston around the ring. As you can see in the image there, he did the spot where he kept shooting Kingston into the turnbuckles, into the corners, and then hitting him with these like running pump bicycle mafia kick type things. Then he'd throw him into the next corner and do it again. I loved it. It was brilliant. So savage. There was some really big, nice kick exchanges, some nice chop exchanges. Every hit looked like it hurt. Like, everything looked like every time Eddie got hit by Pac, it looked like a part of his soul was being removed from his body. Eddie's selling is brilliant. He always looks like he's on the edge of defeat. He always looks like he's away to cry. He always looks emotional, and he just always looks like he's just that haggard fighter you really don't want to fight, because if you hit him, he's probably going to come back harder. Really cool, really believable. There was a little bit of interference by the Bunny at one point. She tried to rake Pac's eyes, but Phoenix and Penta chased them away. The ref came out, sorted them all out, and the match continued. The finish came pretty quickly, in my opinion. It was a nice short match. It didn't go too long. Like, sometimes with like AEW especially, they're quite bad with having matches that go too long, you know what I mean? And like, before you know it, you're like 20 minutes into an opening match and you're like, man, we could have got something else here. This match, no part of it did it feel like it was too long or too short. It was just perfectly paced. I really liked it. The finish came when the finish was Pac hitting the Black Arrow, which was cool. Not seen the Black Arrow in a while. I think it's the first time we've seen the Black Arrow finish since the pandemic started, which could be why it looked like he was taking his time on the ring. He like climbed up to the top and he gave it a little bit of whoa, as you can see in the picture. Whoa. But to be fair, Pac's always did this. He's always took his time on the top rope, and that's probably why he's so good. It's probably why he's never hurt himself. You know what I mean? He doesn't just run up to the ring and try and do a twisted shooting star press. He takes his time, he gets himself ready, and he hits the move with accuracy every single time. So yeah, he hit the Black Arrow, got the pin. As soon as the bell rung, he then turned the pin into the brutalizer, rolled Kingston up, and just stretched him out for a bit, which was always good, because it's good to see that Pac, he's maybe the good guy in this match, but he's not a good guy. He wants to hurt people. He wants to stretch people. He wants to put them in the rings of Saturn and rip their arms and heads off. This is Pac. I like it. After the match, the heels went to start some trouble, but Jake Roberts came running out, and then Lance Archer came out too. Archer then got into it. Archer came out to chase Kingston away, basically, and then he got into it with Pac. Now, at the first, I was wondering what was up here, because I was like, is Archer like a way to start with Pac? Is he like, what's happening here? But then I remembered Archer's beef with Kingston, it goes all the way back. I can't remember it. I think it was the last pay-per-view or the Battle Royal before the last pay-per-view where Eddie Kingston says he won, but Lance won, and so on and so forth. And this is still going on. So what happened there was, Lance Archer from the back seen that Kingston and his crew were still getting into it. So he came running out. Not to have a go with Pac, but he came out running out just to tell Eddie Kingston, I'm coming for you. I've not forgot about you. This is still happening, which is a really nice touch. And then, obviously, he told Kingston and his boys straight, and then he turned around and he had a little interchange with Pac, told Pac to get on page, and it's to be expected. Now, why does Lance Archer want Pac to get on the same page as him? I mean, I guess we're moving forward with a match with Kingston and Archer, but I mean, are we going to be moving forward into Pac and Archer? Is that something we're going? I don't know. That would be quite cool though. But then it got to me. I was like, what if Archer is wanting to join the Death Triangle? What if he's wanting to turn the Death Triangle into the Murder Square? The Murder... It's all booked in my head already. The Murder Square it's over with me. This was a really good match to start with. It was well-paced, snug, great selling. Eddie, as I said already, his selling is just awesome all the time. Not only was it a nice little match, strong match, but it moved forward into some new matches and we've progressed some angles, which is always good to see in wrestling because there's nothing worse than wrestling just for the sake of wrestling. There's nothing worse than it. Okay, so I need to just quickly change something, so I'll be back in just a moment. Enjoy this musical interlude. There we go. The joys of self-production. The absolute joys of self-production. So yeah, the Pac match was good. Finished with the Black Arrow. Look at that picture. He is upside down, but he always hits it. Always hits it. So let's get back to my place. As I said, this is going to be the trick. Speaking in a microphone, reading my notes is not the challenge. The big challenge is coming with me, making sure these pictures stick. Keep up with us. We need the pictures. They tell the story. Right, so, next up. Let's see what I can miss. I don't know why, it feels all loose, but I'm going to fix it. So, next up on tonight's show, we went straight into another match. We got Chuck Taylor versus Miro. Now, Chuck Taylor, obviously, with Orange Cassidy, minus best friend Trent, and he was taking on Miro, aka formerly known as Rusev, who was coming down, of course, with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Now, the loser of this match, this match was made last week, as we talked about. And the loser of this match is to become their opponent's young boy, which is basically a wrestling term for a little slave that's training to be a wrestler. Or someone that's training to be a wrestler, but has to be teamed up with someone who's more experienced and basically carry his bags and do everything he says. This week, it's kind of mutated into a butler. Now, my guess is that the people writing this have just realised that most people in the world don't know what a young boy is, and quite frankly, they probably heard the term and were like, is that sexual? You know, because it's a strange term, calling someone a young boy. It's like, he's going to be my young boy for a bit. It can go either way, you know. So they've changed it, and instead of just saying he's going to be the young boy, that stupid screen. He is now going to be, the loser is going to be the butler. So this, like, straight away, this was a short but good match. I thought this was a great match. This is probably my favourite match on the show. Why? I don't know. Why do people like things? Why do people make subjective decisions? I don't know, but this was probably my favourite match on last night's show. The match started out, it was a really quick match. Literally, I don't think it was more than 5 minutes. Chuck started on that offense. He got some shine in. He managed to get Miro out of the ring, staggered him a bit, then managed to hit a dive. There was a few bits where he threw Miro against the big AEW board wall thing. Then Miro tried to run away, and Chucky T went under him, reversed it, and did it again. It's cool. I'm a big fan of Chucky. I've always been a big fan of Chucky T. Always been a big fan of Chucky T. There was a moment. Oh, when was it? I don't know. It was years ago, but basically, me and another person from Aberdeen who was wrestling in Aberdeen, we found out that the promotion in Aberdeen could have had Chuck Taylor. We were like, whoa, what? We love Chuck Taylor. But it never happened. We never got to see Chuck Taylor in Aberdeen. And I never got to see Chuck Taylor either. I'm trying to think if I can't remember. I think I've seen Chuck Taylor live. I think I've seen him live in England somewhere, but I can't promise you that. I wish I had. One day I hope to meet him. Fucking hilarious. One of the I'm going on a bit of a Chucky T tangent here, but one of the funniest wrestling matches I've ever seen in my life was Chuck Taylor versus Archibald Peck in Chikara, and this match was just ridiculous. At one point, like the building that the show was being held in, right, it was some like town hall sort of building, so it was just Chikara. It's like a smaller indie promotion, right? And as you see, I've got a wall here. This venue had like these huge murals on the wall, like murals that are the size of the wall here, like absolutely gigantic with big landscapes and everything. And during the match, like Archibald Peck and Chucky T end up taking pictures in front of it. The match like turns into like, and they're standing in front of the thing like this, and they're like posing together, and they're doing silly poses together, and they've got the photographers taking pictures, and it's like, this was a wrestling match, and it's like, what I'll do is, in the future, I'm going to find it. I've got that match on DVD. I am sure I've got this on DVD. I will pluck this out and we'll watch it someday, because a stream of like good comedy wrestling, I think, would be a good thing, and that's maybe something we can do someday. So, I digress. As we get back to the match, Rusev and Chuck got back in the ring, and Miro managed to cut Chucky off with, let's get the picture here. I just scrolled my notes right to the end. Woo, boo, boo. So yeah, let's get this back. Let's be picture. Here's Chucky T in all his glory. Where's Miro? Right. So yeah, Miro. Look at that beast. I've always been a big fan of Miro when he was in NXT as Rusev, when he was in WWE as Rusev. Obviously, I think the best version of Rusev in WWE was when he just started in WWE with Lana, Lana was the Russian, he was Russian, and it was just crash. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved that. And it seems like Miro is starting to channel this side of things again. It's brilliant. The only thing he doesn't have now is obviously Lana. Who knows? Maybe we can cross our fingers and one day Lana can be reunited with Rusev in an AEW sort of arena, and we can get Lana as the Russian. We can get, I would love to see that again. Maybe even get another tank. I mean, could they do that, or would they get sued? I don't know. But yeah, there was a load of stuff. As you can, there's Chucky on the outside. There's them getting back in the ring, and this is where we pick up on the review. Basically, Miro cut Chucky T off with probably the best Samoan drop I have seen in years. It was awesome. So, like, as you can see here, Chucky T, he hit Rusev with a running knee sort of thing, and then he hit the ropes. The first time he hit the rope, he went for Miro dodged. Second time, Miro just grabbed him, slammed the living shit out of him. Like, you could tell, it was one of those Samoan drops that would have probably made him poo his pants a little bit, There was definite wind coming out there. Oh, wow. I'm unsure why we've got back to there. I don't know what's happening with these images sometimes. I don't know. Tell you what, let's just get back to the start. And we'll just finish this up. So yeah, Miro hit the Samoan drop, and that was it. It was just game over from that point. Absolute game over. Miro just threw him about a bit. He ended up hitting up the jumping sidekick, which I forget if it's got a name or anything like that. He did the big cry. He actually shouted crush at one point, which I thought was great. the finish came when he hit the jumping side kick thing, which is, I just think is great. Shouted game over. Then he hit the classic stomp to the back into the accolade or game over submission finish, whatever it's called. Chuck was stretched to bits and he lost. He tapped out and he is now Miro's young boy / butler / whatever you want to call it. This, like I've already said, this was the Miro I remember. A complete wrecking machine. At the end of the end of the match was quite finished. So like, basically like Miro, Kip, and Penelope all kidnapped like Chuck Taylor at the end of it. They just picked up Chucky T and just like they're like, that's it. You're going. Bye. They just like picked him, grabbed him by the hair and dragged him with them. Orange Cassidy was left just at the end of the thing like, okay, am I just here now? Is this life now? Poor Orange, you know what I mean? And that was it. That was the end of the match. It was a fun match. I actually preferred this match to the opener. Why? I've got no idea. I couldn't find any flaws with this match. It fit with the story perfectly. It progressed the story perfectly. And with Trent out for a few months, this angle that they're going with here is the perfect way to keep Chucky T and Orange Cassidy busy with something to do until the wedding, which is scheduled for the Beach Break pay-per-view later in the year, and of course for the return of Trent. So it's cool. I liked it. I thought it was a really good match. An easy 3.5 stars. Easy 3.5 stars. So next up, we had a very quick promo with Matt Hardy and Private Party. Now, Matt Hardy at the moment, he seems to have fell into a new character where he's acting like to quote Nick Jackson, a prick. That's his whole thing now. He's acting like a carny prick. And he is currently trying to rip Private Party off. Well, it seems like he's trying to rip Private Party off. He might be trying to do them out of money or whatever. But at the same time, who knows? Maybe Matt Hardy does have the hookup. Maybe Matt Hardy will make them millionaires. Maybe he is the manager who's going to take them to the next level. Who knows? We just don't know. Now, this is more of a BTE angle in my opinion. For those that don't know what BTE is, it is Being the Elite. It is the series which came before AEW was ever a thing. Basically, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, it's their series. It's really good. I would say if you're wanting to know what's happening with the Matt Hardy Private Party angle, you're probably better watching BTE, because there's been a lot of this starting up on BTE with Matt Hardy's gimmick changing and him trying to become the managers of Private Party. Yeah, the Private Party in this interview, they're not happy because they were told by Matt Hardy that they would only have to give Matt Hardy 30% and they would get to do Twitch and all that outside things. But then there was small print. As like we say, Matt Hardy is acting like a carny prick. He put in the small print that he will take 50% of their outside earnings out of their Twitch and everything. So as you would expect, Private Party are pissed off with Matt. But we just don't know. Maybe Matt Hardy has something in mind. Maybe he has a good plan. We don't know. Matt Hardy was getting angry with him. He starts telling him, he's like, look, when I say jump, you should say how high. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone gets heated. Everyone starts losing their shit. Matt Hardy ends up saying, like, this interview's over. That's it. Done. Ends the interview and they'll walk off. Watch BTE for what's happening here. I think it's a BTE story. It's much, much better. Just watch BTE, find out what's happening. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to see if I can get my pictures loaded up a second. Let's have some music. I think what I'll do is I'll just go mute and you can watch me bobbing along to the music for, let's say, 10 seconds while I try and load these images back in. Okay, let's see if we've got some images now. But I'm guarantee you, what's going to happen is, if they've worked, they're probably going to be in reverse now. No. Well, we tried. What I'll do is I'll just hold that down, and we'll see what happens. And I'll talk about the next segment, and hopefully some pictures just randomly appear. That would be really fun if that happened. It would be really helpful if that happened. But if it doesn't, let's not get held up about it. Let's not get bogged down with things not working as they are designed to work. Maybe if I could design these things, they would work. Who knows? So next up on tonight's show, we had the Inner Circle's New Year resolution segment. So, going into this segment, I thought this was just going to be a bit silly. There's been, all through AEW's history, there's been some goofy Inner Circle bits. We had the Inner Circle bunch, we had their Zoom meeting thing, we had you know what I mean? There's been some really good ones. There's been some funny segments, there's been some ones that are just a bit why are they doing this? But I am open to giving them a chance, because most of the time they are worth watching and they are kind of entertaining. But this time, I really had no idea what they were going for. I was like, New Year resolutions, what are they actually doing with this? I thought this was going to be pretty pish. To be brutally honest, I didn't think this was going to be a very good segment. But it turned out to be actually not a bad segment, you know? So, they all come out, all the Inner Circle come out to the ring. Of course, we've got Hager, MJF, Santana Ortiz, Y2J, and Sammy. First up to tell us their New Year's resolutions, we had Jack Hager. Now, comically, later on in the promo, in the segment, MJF calls him Jacob, which I don't know why I thought it was really funny, but I did think it was really quite funny. I'm actually multitasking here. So the first person, as I said, to do their New Year's resolution was Hager. Hager is very simple. His New Year's resolution is he wants championships. Championships! Yeah! To quote the man. He wants championships, and he is pumped. So that's cool. Nice and simple. Hager wants championships. Something we can get behind. Next up, we had MJF. MJF takes the mic. MJF says he just wants to bond with the guys in the ring. Nice and humble. Oh, and he wants less fat people. It's not MJF without something dickish, so I guess we've got to give him that pass, even though he is a complete dick. Oh, directory. This was followed up by Ortiz. Now, Ortiz took the mic, and he tells us his New Year's resolution. He wants to perfect his grand's sofrito recipe. He also said he wants to learn how to throw down another sort of food. Now, I don't know what the other bit of food is, because, well, I just don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what the food is. I didn't understand what the food is. That said, Ortiz wants to cook it. That's really cool. He then passes the mic along. Now, for some reason at this point, the crowd started booing MJF and shouting at MJF. MJF, of course, took the mic and retorts by telling the crowd, "You're booing for food." I thought that was hilarious. MJF's really cool. I could sit and watch his snark all day. All day. Have we got any new images? I don't know. I've been trying to fix this in the background. I don't think it's going to work. So, next up, we get Y2J. Y2J takes the microphone, and his New Year's resolution is very simple. He wants to become tag team champion with MJF. I was like, wait, what? He just comes out and says it. He wants to be AEW World Tag Team Champion with MJF. It's like, okay. The friendship is developing, we see. This is followed by Santana. Now, Santana takes the mic, and since everyone's actually been doing New Year's resolutions, I thought we're going to get a resolution here. I wonder what Santana's resolution is. But no, Santana takes the mic, and he's actually quite a bit pissed off. He tells Jericho, he's like, "What's happening here? You guys hired me and Ortiz to be the tag team of the Inner Circle, but now here you are saying you want to be tag team champion. What gives? Totally valid question. What the hell is Jericho playing at? So Sammy takes the mic and he's like, well, I know what's happening here. I've got the scoop. I know what's happening here. Everyone's like, okay, Sammy, what's happening here? Thrill is, tell us what's happening, Sammy. He just comes out with it. Jericho is a tag team slut. He wants to team with everyone. The sex gods, MJF, who next? Snoop. Now, when he said that, who next? Snoop. Jericho just turned around and he's like, maybe. Which broke me. I thought that was hilarious. Like, Jericho is so low-key funny on this show sometimes that it's brilliant. There was other parts during this promo where, like, he would just randomly shout stuff. So it's like someone else was talking and Jericho would be like, yeah, we're sexy. We're sexy. Like, what the fuck, Jericho? Like, cool. You're sexy. Good man. I like it. And so everyone starts getting heated. Everyone starts trying to bicker with each other. Interestingly, Hager was telling people to calm down and not give MJF shit. So MJF sucking up to Hager seems to be paying off because he's already siding with MJF. And then Jericho stops them all. He's like, right, whoa. I've got an idea. To solve this, let's have a match like Wardlow and Hager had last week. But it's going to be a tag team match. A big tag team match. An Inner Circle only tag team match. A tag team war. It's going to be Chris Jericho and MJF versus Hager and Sammy versus Ortiz and Santana. Or Santana and Ortiz. And the winner of this match is going to become the official tag team of the Inner Circle. That's actually quite a good idea. I like that. I quite like that a lot. Now, I can see this going one way and one way only, and that is MJF and Y2J winning with the help of Wardlow. Now, why do I say that? The only reason I say that is because, of course, like, sure, you've got Hager and Sammy. That's a really good team, but it's two people. You've got Santana and Ortiz. Yeah, that's a really good team, but that is just two people. You've got MJF and Jericho. Now, of course, MJF comes with Wardlow. So I think that this is all going to play into it. The man advantage that they have over the other two teams in the Inner Circle is going to give them the win and lead to them being the official team of the Inner Circle, which of course can only lead to more dissension within the Inner Circle, and for us, the viewers, more entertainment. Because that's what we're all in. That's what we're in it for. Watch it for at the end of the day, to be entertained, to be thrilled, and just to have some time killed on a Friday or Wednesday or Thursday night. So next up, we had a few promos actually. First up was a promo with the Dark Order. It was what is next for the Dark Order. So Marvez was in the Dark Order club room place, which, if you've not seen, if you've not watched Being the Elite, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But the Dark Order have a certain room in Daly's place. That's their room. That's where they hang out all the time. So it's like their club room. So they were in there. And they're getting interviewed by Alex Marvez. And he just asks them, he's like, after the passing of the Exalted One, Brody Lee, what's next? And I mean, this is a totally fair question, because people want to know. It's like, what's going to happen with the Dark Order? It seems fair. And, I mean, it's still Raw. The death of Brody Lee is still Raw, but this can't just all freeze. So it's good that they're doing this, and I like it. I approve. I think it's a good idea. So Evil Uno, he seems to be back into the role of manager of the Dark Order, and he tells Marvez that, look, everything they're going to do going forward is just in his memory, in the memory of Brody Lee. And as the Dark Order, they're just going to aim to be better people starting next week. And that's going to start when the Dark Order team up with Hangman Page. Interesting. Now, this is going to be a 4-on-4 match, not a 3-on-3 match. We'll get to that in a second. Hangman is then pulled into the interview. It turns out he was just not standing with the Dark Order. He was just standing at the other side of the room with a drink. So he gets pulled in to the interview, and Silver starts trying to interview Hangman, which is hilarious because Silver just starts marking out like a little kid meeting John Cena, which is hilarious. Thankfully, Reynolds is there. Reynolds calms him down, takes the mic, and he's like, right. He just asks Hangman straight up. He's like, look, we've been courting you for a while now. We're all seem to be cool. We're all hanging about with each other all the time. It seems like a good fit. Are you going to be joining the Dark Order or what, Adam? Like, it's cool. Now, Hangman just tells them, he's like, tell you what, I will give you guys the answer after our match next week. So next week, after the match, we're going to find out if Hangman is going to be joining the Dark Order or not, which is cool. Now, the whole story of Adam Page and joining the Dark Order, or just what's happening with Adam Page in general, is a very interesting story. Now, obviously, or I say obviously, you've got to cast your mind back a few months, but Hangman is still a bit of a broken man in the story. He's never really got over falling out with the Bucks. He's never got out with losing the belts, and he's never got over what happened with Kenny. And when you think about it, like the reformation of the Elite or the Bullet Club all happening whilst he's on his own and they're not speaking to him has got to hurt. So while Hangman might like the new friends, while his character could like the new friends, we've got to think that like the story about Hangman and his own battle with his own mind has been really, really good and really interesting. And we could see a situation where at the end of the match next week, the Dark Order win, easy win. Hangman gets the buckshot lariat, gets the pin, but he's just not willing to get hurt again. He's just not wanting to get hurt, and because of that, he's not going to join the Dark Order. I could see it going this way. I could see it going anyway. I mean, we also have the fact that the Bucks seem to be in the process of being screwed over by Kenny and the Good Brothers and the Elite, or getting screwed out of the Elite, or by the Bullet Club, or whatever's happening. It could be that we end up that the Bucks realise that, look, okay, something was up with Hangman, we should make up. And within that as well, there's still the whole story of who was it that told the Bucks to fuck off on Hangman's phone. Because now, this is a story that came from being the Elite. When Hangman fell out with the Young Bucks, he was being told to make up with them. Like, Hangman was trying, like, for weeks, you might remember when the Bucks were in that little mini heel mode and were just super kicking announcers and being dicks. During that whole time, that was all around the time that they fell out with Hangman, because that was all what happened. And during that whole time, though, Hangman every week was trying to make up with the Bucks, but everything he did was getting just so happens that the Bucks weren't getting the message. You know, like, not deliberately. It wasn't because they were ignoring them. They just weren't getting the message. And we've still got this whole story, because what happened was, like, Hangman was trying to get back in with the Bucks, and it got to a point where Matt Jackson realizes, like, yeah, you know what, we're being stupid. He's our friend. He's an old friend, and he texted him. So, like, Nick texted Hangman, but Hangman just replied basically, I can't remember what the message was, just told him to fuck off. But we never, like, the point here is, we never saw who had Hangman's phone there, because whilst the text was sent, Hangman didn't have the phone on him at the time. He was away. He was in the back of a truck getting drunk. I forget the guy that thinks he's a dragon, not Luchasaurus, but he was with him getting drunk in the back of a truck. He didn't have his phone with him, so someone used, like, Hangman's phone to tell the Bucks to get fucked. And I just wonder if this is all going to come back together now, because we've got obviously the whole Elite thing's happening, but the Bucks are getting alienated by Kenny. Now, are we going to find out that Hangman was also alienated from everyone else with Kenny, or was it maybe Don Callis? Is this all part of the Invisible Hand's plan? I don't know, but like many AEW angles, this could go anyway, with the obvious route being exciting and the rest being just as amazing. So I'm hyped to see whatever happens here. This was followed by a very quick Darby Allin Taz promo. It just talks about how Taz was trying to employ, or just try to talk to Darby earlier on in his AEW run, but that it all just, there was just an unsurpassable clash of personalities, that's how I've described it, and that the two could never get on, and that's what's led to basically Darby Allin feuding with Team Taz, because he just doesn't get on with Taz, and Taz doesn't get on with him. It was a great little promo, a good little music video, and it just worked. It was a really good way to set up for the match that happened afterwards at the end of the show. Then we get to I would say this was our mid-main event. This was a cracking segment. It was the Elite, we'll get to that in a second, versus the Varsity Blondes, that is Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. and Aaron Limelight. Now, before the match, we were at Gorilla, so this is like right before the match, before they start doing their entrances. They're just waiting behind behind the curtain at the Gorilla position, and we've got Kenny speaking to the Bucks, and Carlos is there as well. They were all going to enter together. They're all going to make a big Elite entrance like they've done in the past. It's the Elite. They've done this plenty of times. But Don Carlos tells the Bucks, he's like, "You guys are too big to share an entrance with someone. You should have your own entrance. So what we'll do is we'll get Kenny. We'll take his entrance just now. Then you guys can come out after it, okay?" And they all agree. That's all cool. So Kenny makes his entrance. That's all cool. As soon as Kenny's in the ring and the music stops, Don Carlos takes the mic from Justin Roberts, and instead of introducing the Bucks, he announces that the Elite will tonight be made up of Kenny Omega and the Impact Tag Champions, the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. Is that the Elite? Now, I can't remember Gallows and Anderson ever actually being in the Elite. Sure, they were Bullet Club, but were they Elite? I don't. The Elite was always just like, the Elite was Kenny, the Bucks, Cody, Hangman, and to a degree, what's his name? The boy that goes to the campsites. But not Gallows and Anderson. So this was controversial. While the Good Brothers were entering the arena, we got to see a shot of the Bucks and Tony Khan reacting to this with Dasha at the Gorilla. They all looked pissed off. As you would expect, they were all freaking annoyed. So before we get into the match, I'm sure, I am positive that this sort of match that we've seen here, this is as close to a squash match as we're ever going to get from Kenny Omega. This is a Kenny Omega squash match. He did the same sort of match with 5 of the Dark Order, and he did it here. There is a reason why he's known as the best in the world, and matches like this are it. Because this match could have been 5 minutes of Kenny, Gallows and Anderson just throwing jobbers about, a quick pin, and nothing special. 5 minutes in and out, make yourselves look like a bunch of bullies. But no, this was a great match, and it seemed to have been used to give Limelight, the Varsity Blondes, the Good Brothers, all a really good bit of attention and a really good bit of rub on Dynamite. It's another story where you get into all this information on Dynamite and social media. Like, you get everything you need on the show, but if, like, for this match, for instance, the post-match reaction to this match we're about to talk about here, if you want to see what happens directly after that match, watch Being the Elite, because this is what that gets you. You'll always get the immediate post-match reactions, like back in the dressing rooms and stuff like that. So it's going to be awesome to see what happens on Monday on Being the Elite from this. The match starts, the Elite rush the faces, and then Limelight and Omega get started, having a good back and forth. Outside the ring, Gallows and Anderson beat up the Varsity Blondes for a bit, and yeah, they just looked like a bit of bullies. But all in all, the faces got to work Kenny over a bit in the ring, and yeah, Danny, is it Aaron or Danny Limelight? I've got Aaron here, I don't know. Aaron Limelight, he looked really good against Kenny. Like, not just in the opening bit of the match, but all through the match. Like, Limelight looked really, really good. And this is what I say about it being a Kenny Omega squash match. When he was in against 5 of the Dark Order, he did exactly the same thing. And like, Kenny Omega, the top, he's not just like the AEW World Champion. He's like literally one of the best wrestlers in the world. people like Five of the Dark Order, and this is no offense to them at all, and people like Limelight, they're like at the very bottom of the pecking order. So for Kenny to like give them so much and do this, I think is brilliant. You get these really smarky wrestling fans on social media and stuff, and they're like trying to attack Kenny. How dare he give them moves? It's like, guys, shut the fuck up. You're just making yourselves look stupid. Stop, sit back, and enjoy some good athletic entertainment. Is it too much? So after Kenny and Limelight got into it for a bit, Anderson came in and got heat on Limelight. They still allowed him to get some cool springboard spots and stuff like that in, but I mean, this is when the heels really started to take over. I mean, it was a very simple trios match, simple but satisfying. There was no complex spots. There was no complex back and forth 10 spot long spot like sequences. There was nothing like that. It was just a nice, simple trios match. It was really good. Towards the end of the match, Pillman got a hot tag and ran wild over the Good Brothers with Garrison, and he even got a near fall, which, like I said, they didn't need to get near falls, but they did, and it's good because it giving them near falls and showing that even the people low on the totem pole can get a 2 count against the world champion can only help the promotion. It can only help everyone that's involved. Like, it can't be bad. But in the end, the Elite managed to assert their dominance over the trio. Gallows and Anderson hit the Magic Killer for the win. It was a nice match, but the match is really not where we need to talk about things. The post-match to this was awesome. Now, last week, everyone thought the post-match and the Bullet Club reunion and stuff was awesome. This week, I would say this week was 10 times better than last week. The post-match was just freaking awesome. So, first of all, whilst the Elite bad guys are celebrating in the ring, Moxley appeared, comes in the side door through the entrance, through the crowd, although there's no crowd there at the moment. You know what I mean. And he just heads right to the ring. Come on. And he just heads right to the Elite and starts taking them on his own. 3 against 1. It's Mox. He doesn't care. Elite start getting the better of Mox, as you would expect, but just as they start to beat him down, Penta and Phoenix come running in to save Moxley and to even the odds. Now, we don't know. Are they coming in just because they're friends with Moxley? Did Moxley arrange this already? Are they doing it because they know Moxley's good and they're good? Or are they doing this because they don't like the fact that there's Impact people invading AEW? Who knows? I don't know. I don't even care if we find out this, because it was just good. It made sense that someone came out to back someone else up. Because why wouldn't they? So, following Penta and Phoenix coming out and starting to fight with the Elite with Moxley, the locker room then empties to try and get some control over things and to fight against the Good Brothers, because you've got to remember they're invading from Impact, so people aren't going to be happy about that. At this point, the Bucks then come running out to try and chill everyone out. We get a spot where Moxley's in the ring really angry, and the Bucks just come in and they're just like, whoa, come on, stop, man. And they're not trying to fight with Moxley, but they're like, come on, stop. At one point, it looks like Moxley's going to hurt them, so they're like, whoa, they're getting ready for a fight, but they're trying their best not to start a fight with them. Now, whilst they're doing this, whilst they're trying to plead with Moxley in the middle of the ring to like calm down and stuff, behind them, Penta and Phoenix come into the ring behind them. Then the Bucks turn around and get super kicked by the two of them. Brilliant. Then it all just falls apart again. People start rumbling all over the place. Moxley starts giving people hitting people with his finisher and stuff like that. Why? We don't know. Then the older guys come in. You get Jerry Lynn and stuff in the ring to start it out, and everything kind of peters out, and everyone goes back through the curtain. This match was great. The post-match was even more so. It's like I say, this was a Kenny Omega squash, and I am now the biggest fan on Kenny Omega squash matches. The fallout of this was super intriguing, because during this madness, we saw potential for the following pairings or matches. We had the obvious face-off between Mox and Omega, Mox has got his title, he'll have his title shot coming back up to win his belt back. Who knows what will happen with that. We also had Penta and Phoenix versus the Good Brothers. Is that a match? Penta and Phoenix, they've worked in Impact before. They could easily invade Impact and win that belts back. So there's potential there. Obviously, there's more potential Penta and Phoenix in the Bucks. Why the fuck did Penta and Phoenix super kick the Bucks? Is that another feud? Is this because Penta and Phoenix just want the AEW World Championships or what? We don't know. We've got the Good Brothers in the Bucks. There's a definite gap growing between the Good Brothers and the Bucks because it's quite obvious now. Now, the Bucks thought this last week, which you would have seen on Being the Elite. They're not totally cool with each other. There's a lot of tension from the way the Good Brothers kind of left them in the lurch. So it's like, what's going to happen? Are the Good Brothers and the Bucks? So they're going to get into it. Got Moxley in the Bucks. It's like Moxley clearly didn't like the Bucks, and he wasn't really. Did he want to fight with them, or they wanting to fight with him? We don't know. And then, of course, the icing on the cake, we have got the whole build-up with the Bucks versus the Elite and Kenny, or whatever the hell is happening there. It's just amazing. This segment created so much opportunities for the future, and it was just so entertaining. It was great. It may have had a run-in, but it felt right. This week, overall, there was much less run-ins, so that was really, really good. This one, it was run-ins done when you need them, done when they should be done. It felt organic and it felt right. So let's move on now. The next segment, the waiting room with Britt Baker. This was, in my opinion, this was really the only down point of this week's show. It was just a bit meh. It was bad comedy, and bad comedy that's not landing is not very good, because even bad comedy jokes, even bad jokes still need to laugh or they're just crap. And this segment, it suffered from some bad humour, but more later on in the segment, it really suffered from not just poor editing, but like unacceptably poor editing. It should not have happened like that. So the whole point of the show was Cody was going to be the guest on the waiting room with Britt Baker. So Cody comes out with sparklers, which is all very cool. But it turns out that Britt Baker got Cody on the show because she wanted to confront him with Jade Cargill. Obviously, they were starting a feud between Jade Cargill and Brandy. Brandy's now pregnant, so that's going to have to be on ice, or probably will never happen. So Jade Cargill came out there. She just made some jokes about how Brandy's lucky she's pregnant. She can't get in a fight now. Red Velvet then came out to back up Cody and to defend Brandy's honour or something like that. She gave Cargill a slap. Now, Cargill is huge. She's like 6. She's taller than everyone in this segment. She's taller than Cody. She's like literally got to bend down to speak to Cody, which is quite amazing. But yeah, it just broke down into a big brawl. You had Red Velvet and Cargill fighting. All the other women came through the locker room and they all started fighting. It was quite funny seeing, like, there was this big huge rumble happening and Britt Baker standing on the sofa behind her just phoning at her phone and shouting, celebrating, which I didn't see it the first and the second time watching it, but I seen it the third time and thought it was hilarious, so I'll give her points for that. But then randomly the episode, it just kind of like, the editing on this segment was just terrible. Randomly it cut into a video of Britt Baker beating up Thunder Rosa, and then it randomly cut into a promo with Thunder Rosa, then back to the waiting room. I mean, we get some shady audio editing on AEW, and I can give that a pass for the most, because usually it's just in transitions and it's only for a few seconds. But this was really, like, not cool. Like, you're all like, AEW is on TNT, right? It's on cable TV in America. It's a major network. This is not some small fry. This is not my YouTube channel. It's not a Twitch channel. This is like professional television. They get millions and millions and millions a year to make this stuff. They really have no excuses for segments to be edited this poorly. Absolutely none. And hey, Tony, if you want some advice on this editing, give me a shout. I'll gladly help you with that. Editing wrestling together is my thing. It was a rare miss of a segment, in my opinion. It was the only thumbs down part of this show, in my opinion. Now, the waiting room has been going for a while on AEW Dark on YouTube. There's been some really good episodes of it. For instance, there was one episode a month ago where Marco Stunt did a little mini concert, an acoustic mini concert, And when you got to find out that Marco Stunt can really sing. It's like, it's not a joke. He's really good at singing. But this week, it just wasn't very good. And yeah, it's inexcusable. That sort of production snafus, in my opinion, are unacceptable. I wouldn't accept them on this level of stuff. They shouldn't accept them on TV. Next up, we got another match. It was the Jurassic Express. That was Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus the FTR. Now, this was set up last week when Marco was a bit annoyed at the FTR, laughing at him for being small, thinking he'd be nothing. And really, this seems more about making up a match. This match seems more about setting up a future match between the Jurassic Express and the FTR. Where, of course, we'll probably see Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy take on the FTR apart from Marco. I don't know if Luchasaurus is I don't know if he's injured or stuff, anything like that. I genuinely got no idea. I know he's got a match coming up on Dark this week. So, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to be a match. Maybe they just wanted to give Marco a shot. Who knows? So the match was really quite simple. It was a lot of heat. Marco started. He managed to dodge a lot of FTR's attacks and jump about a bit. He pulled off a few cool little lucha spots, but that was really about it. He quickly got shut down and FTR took control. Heat for days, as expected. Beat the shit out of him. I mean, Marco did fight back. As I said, he had a few cool little lucha spots, a couple of hurricanranas, but on the whole, he got the crap beaten out of him. Our FTR hit a few really cool double team spots. They hit this double team stun gun on Marco. Poor lad. It looked brilliant. It looked like it took his head off. Stiff as hell. Jungle Boy managed to get in. He managed to hit a few cool moves. He got a really nice high angle brain buster in, which was cool. When he eventually got the hot tag and came in after Marco got beaten about a bit more, he was dripping with fire. He managed to get a few near falls. Marco got back in the ring, almost had his head taken off with a sweet, 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 sweet lariat. I love lariats. Yes, I love a lariat. The finish came when Marco was on the outside. Tully pushed him into a ring post. Obviously, Marco's small. Tully may be old, but he's much bigger than Marco. And if he pushes Marco into a ring post, Marco is screwed. So he pushed Marco into the ring post. The FTR then got Jungle Boy out of the ring, and they threw him into the barricades. They then threw Marco back in the ring, hit him with the big rig for the win. And that was that. It was a good little match. I mean, it's FTR. You're not going to get a bad match if they're involved. This was much more of the standard tag type squash match. You know what I mean? The good guys got a lot in. They got a good bit of shine, but I would say for the most, Marco just got the shit beaten out of him. That said, he always looks good. He looks good. If there's anyone that looks good taking a beating, it's Marco. Well, I say that. We still have to talk about Darby in just a second. I never expected Marco to be much of a challenge, but the fact is he put up a massive challenge. Good match. I liked it. Now, next up, the second last match of the show. This match blew me away. Now, last week we talked about this. It is Tay Conti versus Serena Deeb. This was for the NWA Women's Championship. Now, I said last week that my assumption was that Tay Conti was going to go into this working a heel because she cut a promo saying she was going to win. And what you're taught in promo classes is if you're a good guy, you never say you're going to win. Because if you lose, you're a liar. So I thought Tay Conti was going to go into this match as a heel, maybe with a bad Dark Order backing and stuff like that. I was wrong. Total wrong. So, yes, she did come out with Anna Jay. Anna Jay was with her at ringside, as they always are, because they're like besties and stuff like that. When Tay Conti made her entrance, the Dark Order came to back her up. They came to like just stand alongside her and Anna Jay on the ring. But when it came to the match, the Dark Order went away, and it's just Anna Jay waiting there, which is a really nice touch. I like that. Now, admittedly, like most, if not all, regular viewers of professional wrestling or AEW, I went into this match with really quite low hopes, and I actually feel bad for how low a hope I had of this match being good. But my God, this was actually a really good match. Not just a good showing or a botchless match, We got a genuinely good match. A believable, simulated fight between two women who looked like they could both fight and who looked like they wanted to beat each other. That's what wrestling is. It's a simulated fight. That allows you to forget that it's simulated. It was really good. As I said, I thought Tay was going to go in as a heel, but no, she went in as a face. Now, I know it's a bit retrospective, but this goes to all wrestlers out there. If you're a good guy, or you think you're a good guy, even if you're a tweener, never say you're going to win, unless you're going to win. Perfect example is Jon Moxley's promos. If he's going to win, he will cut a promo where he says everything he's going to do and how he's going to win. But in the match with Kenny, he did not say he was going to win because he knew he was not going to win. And if he said he was going to win but didn't, regardless of what anyone says or how good a good guy he is, that makes him a liar. So he did. It's a really little thing, right? It's a really little thing. And she is still quite green, so she can get over that. I can let that pass. That's just me being anal. I mean, so this was a face versus face match. Good girl versus good girl, right? These matches can sometimes be tough to pull off because there's no heat. You know what I mean? Like a normal match will rely on a portion of a bad guy getting heat on someone, and that's getting sympathy off the good guy stuff. That's like the old, like how it normally works. But in a good guy versus good guy match, there's no heat. So you've got no way to build sympathy. So you've got to make it super fast, super engaging, and it's got to be a really believable battle between two people. And my hell, they really, really pulled this off. Serena Deeb and Tay Conti, yeah, they blew me away with this. Absolutely blew me away. So, the match. Like, in my notes, I just wrote, oh my god, what the fuck? This is Tay Conti. It was literally like watching someone else. I've never seen her look this good before. The match was nothing. It was nothing over. There was nothing complex about it. Apart from the finishing sequence, that was actually quite complex. But other than that, there was nothing really complex about it. It was just a match that it highlighted Tay Conti's strengths, which is that she's a natural shooter. So she's good with she knows judo, she knows jiu-jitsu, and as opposed to jumping about, running about, and stuff like that, she was just going through. It was ground-based. It was all ground-based holds in a way that hid what she couldn't do and highlighted what she can do, that is the trick to wrestling. So, I mean, Serena Deeb is... I've thought this before, and after seeing this match now, it's like she's genuinely one of the best female wrestlers on this planet. Her wrestling, her style, and the way she flows through matches is great to watch. It's like effortless. You can see that she doesn't spend the time worrying and overthinking things. It just comes naturally. And this is where Tay has stumbled in the past. While Serena and other wrestlers can seem effortless in what she does, Tay Conti will often seem like she's overthinking things, like she'll like stop and go into things. Which we did see one instance in this match where she did do that, and it wasn't in an actual spot. It was just where she went to push Serena, like. It was like a little reset in the match. And Serena was not where Tay expected her to be when she pushed her. And it made the push look a little silly. And this is what I mean. It's like in her mind, she was like, I go to this spot. I am going to push her from this spot to there. But Serena didn't go to that spot. So you could see her overthinking it. Whereas with Serena, she would have just walked up and pushed him. And that's the difference. But it's really good. That said, it's really good to see that Tay's getting over this. Like, it's awesome. So the finishing sequence was really good. It was actually quite creative, and it was actually quite complex for what I expected in this match. It really worked. First, Tay hit a pump kick on Deeb, and then she went for her Tay KO finish, whatever it's called. But Deeb, she managed to wriggle out of the Thai KO, counter it into like a reverse backslide, which then she turned that seamlessly into the implant buster style Deeb detox. Deeb calls it the detox, but it's basically Awesome Kong's old implant buster finish, and got the pin from that. 1, 2, 3 pin for Deeb. She retains the championship, but this was just a really, really good match. Really, really good. it's like I keep saying, I'm gushing over this match, but I saw Tay Conti on since she's came into wrestling on TV. I remember her on the Mae Young Classic, and it's like she was one of the people on the Mae Young Classic where there was some real high spots, but there were some real low spots, and she was sadly one of the low spots. But this, you would never think that was her, and like, whoever is training these girls, like the same goes for Anna Jay, who's went from there to there in like the space of 9 months. But whoever's training them, and I believe it's like Cutie Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, they are like just doing a brilliant job. And like Tay Conti was in the Performance Center. She was in the WWE's wrestling school, and they couldn't get a good match out of her. She's been in AEW 9 months, and she's already doing really good. I mean, I believe a lot of it is down to Deeb. I think Deeb is one of... I heard on a show, I don't know how true it is, that Deeb was one of her trainers before when she was in the Performance Center. So that probably did help a lot, but I'm not going to let that take from the match. At the end of the match, JR said the match was outstanding, and I absolutely agree with it. I was blown away with how good that match was. So just props to Tay Conti for that, and to Serena Deeb. It's just brilliant. So let's look at what is happening in next week's show. Scheduled for the show, we have the Inner Circle Tag Team Challenge. So as we've said earlier, that is Y2J and MJF versus Sammy and Hager versus Santana and Ortiz, and the winner will become the official tag team of the Inner Circle. We also have Matt Sydal and Top Flight versus Hardy and the Private Party. There is the -1's birthday celebration match. We have Hangman and the Dark Order versus the Hybrid 2 and Chaos Project. So, of course, for this match, the Dark Order will be Colt Cabana, Farmstrong John Silver. That's my name for him, because damn, that lad's strong. And Alex Reynolds. On the other team, we have got the Hybrid 2, that is Jack Evans and Angelico. And Chaos Project, which is Luther and Serpentico, which I like saying that word. Serpentico. So yeah, this is -1's birthday celebration match, so this should be really good. After the match, whatever happens, we will hear Hangman is going to tell us if he's going to join the Dark Circle or not, and hopefully we get to see -1 beating up John Silver with a kendo stick, because why not? It's both of their destinies, I think. We also have an update from Miro and his new butler, Chuck Taylor. Now, I'm really annoyed that the pictures didn't load here, because the picture... I'm going to put this picture of Miro up with this on YouTube, because the picture of Miro they used on this was bloody hilarious. He's like that. Awesome. Also, on next week's show, we have got Nyla Rose versus legit Layla Hirsch. Now, we've not seen Nyla Rose on Dynamite in a while, so I am actually a massive fan of Nyla Rose. Some of her matches haven't been so good, but some of them are really good, and I think that once she really, really masters her style, she's going to be freaking awesome. Layla Hirsch, damn, she's really good. Like, she is bloody good. I'm trying to think of a way to compare how good she is. She's just like, she's got that natural shooter aura that you would have got from like a younger Kurt Angle or something like that. But she's not. She's a female wrestler. She does shoot style wrestling and stuff. This could only be, I mean, I'm worried that they're going to use this as a squash match, because we've not seen Nyla Rose on TV in a while. They need to set up a new feud for the AEW Women's Championship, because obviously we've got the blow off between Abaddon and Shida. So I hope this is not a squash match, because legit Layla Hirsch is bloody good, and she should be getting the rub, not pushed. She shouldn't be getting squashed at the moment. I don't think so. I think she's got tons of potential, and it shouldn't be wasted. So, but there is always a thing, it could be it could go too long. So we'll have to take that one as it comes, but it's got potential to be something awesome, that's for sure. And of course, something to look forward to next week. Jon Moxley will be back in action. Yes, about time. He's not been in action since the Winter is Coming when he lost the title, so it's going to be really good to see what happens here. It's going to be cool. No doubt I have no idea who he's up against. It's not been announced. But I would imagine that he's going to beat the living piss out of someone, whomever that is. And then we get to the main event tonight. Now, what a main event this was. Darby Allin versus Brian Cage for the TNT Championship. So for this match, Taz was on commentary and most of Team Taz were banned from ringside. I believe it was only Ricky Starks that was allowed to be at ringside because it's Team Taz. They're a bunch of bad guys. They'll interfere in matches, so that was all taken care of. I like Team Taz. They're a group of believable badasses. I would like to be in Team Taz. But that said, what the hell was Ricky Starks wearing? Was that jeans he was wearing or curtains? Someone tell me in the chat or somewhere. Hit me up on Twitter at Voice Britannia. Tell me what the hell was Ricky Starks wearing. So this was Darby's first defense of the TNT Championship, and it was the first defense of the new black and gold belt design. Darby, this match was really good. It was savage, so brutal. Darby reminds me a lot of Mick Foley, but where Mick Foley used his body as a weapon, Darby and just got hurt. Darby just absorbs the pain. He doesn't use his body as a weapon, but he takes the same amount of stuff and he throws it back. It's just that his thing is he takes the pain like Foley would have done. And with Darby, it is very believable. It's like, to the point, I doubt he quits anything. I'm stuck for metaphors today. I don't think he's a quitter. I don't think he's a person that quits much at all. So the match started nice and hot. Darby started quick out the gates. He went for Cage's legs, took him down, got him down in the ring, and then he managed to get him outside of the ring. But Cage very quickly took control. Darby was cut off. He went for he was going for a low tope to the outside. But as he went for the tope, he went through the ropes, and Cage caught him. Caught him in a suplex position and just put him up. Boom. Suplex on the mats outside. It looked super hard. It was the type of one where I've took bumps like that before, and you take it and you're like, oh, did I shit my pants? And it looked brutal. And this is where it all went down. It went all downhill for Darby, basically. This was he got the living piss beaten out of him. So Darby gets put back in the ring. Cage picks him up in a military press. And then what happens is Cage military presses Darby Allin, walks to the ropes, and throws him out of the ropes. He throws him out of the ring, across the mats. Throws him so far that Darby lands in the timekeeper's table, smashes it up, busts his head open. Holy shit. It was insane. Cage is inhuman. Darby was bust open. Like, he's lying in bits of table burst open. Cage goes out the ring. This, it's inhuman. It's insane. And instead of just doing anything bad, he bends down. He picks Darby up out of the broken table shards and stuff like that. He picks him up for a straight suplex. Like the towering suplex that British Bulldog would have done. Instead of giving him another suplex, though, Cage has got him in the suplex position, and he starts walking along, walks up the ring stairs, walks onto the ramp, and he walks up to the ropes, and he just dumps Darby back into the ring. Insane. Darby just got thrown about. There's really not any other fair way to describe it, but he just got the shit. He just got thrown around, as you would expect. Darby Allin, physically, to someone like Brian Cage, it's like a child, you know what I mean? So, Cage was able to just go nuts. It was fun to watch, but my God, there were some bits where I was like, I hope Darby is alright. For instance, there was one spot where he got 3 power bombs in a row in the ring, and following that, he got running power bombed out of the ring onto the metal entrance ramp. It's like, I'm sitting watching this in disbelief. I'm like, what the freaking hell? But did it put Darby down? No, it doesn't. Darby did actually start to fight back. He managed to hit a code red at one point. He was going for some other stuff, and then Team Taz came out to interfere because Team Taz are a bunch of dicks. But thankfully, there's more to life than these dicks. The arena went black. The lights came back up, and Sting is there with a baseball bat. Taps Starks on the shoulder, starts beating him up, leaving evens everything out. From that point, so Starks has been taken out. Darby Allin climbs to the top rope, as does Brian Cage. Brian Cage goes to do something, but Darby Allin manages to counter that, gets onto Cage's back, and gives him the flip crucifix bomb from the middle rope. Now, the way this landed looked horrible for both people, because Darby didn't really get, like, the way you would take the bump for the crucifix bomb is you would take them on the top of your shoulders, like the top of your back here. Just, you would take it like square on your shoulders. You know, kind of like a brainbuster-y kind of thing. But what happened was, like, Darby didn't get the flip right over, so he, like, Cage didn't land flush. He landed kind of like just lower, a bit, the back a bit lower, just landed on top of Darby, and it looked like it fucking sucked. It would have hurt both of them so much, because, I mean, Cage was coming off the middle rope onto Darby. Thankfully for the both of them, this was the last spot of the match, so they didn't need to worry about trying to work through the pain after it. Darby got the pin. It was a great match. I would say this was a squash match, but this is AEW. I think when we talk about things like squash matches in AEW, we need to change our expectations, and we need to change how we actually describe what the fuck a squash match is, because that was a squash match, but the person getting squashed won. Bloody great. So yeah, Sting was out. At the end in the ring with Darby. They were both, well, I say standing tall. Darby was kind of lying and blood all over him and stuff like that. And the show went off the air like that. So there was no run-ins at the end. There was no more shenanigans. They just went off the air. So I mean, the only thing I would add to the end of this is I am definitely wanting some more meat on the Sting angle now. It's like, what is the deal? We get it. He's pals with Darby. Cool, but is he in a team with Darby? What's the actual purpose of him? Is he here to just become friends with Darby and challenge him for his belt? Is he there just to challenge him for his belt? Or is he just wanting to be his mentor? Like, I would like to know. I think it would be good if we found out at some point. But that was AEW Dynamite for the 13th of January. My God. What a show it was. It was a bloody brilliant show. It's like I said, the only thing on the show that I thought really could have been better was the Britt Baker angle. The Britt Baker segment, sorry. But other than that, it was great. I couldn't find any problems with the show. And I say that after watching it 3 times. So it was really good. But the question on other people's minds is, how did that deal in the ratings? So let's get to the ratings really quickly, because this show has went way over time today. Well, how long have we been going? Holy shit, we're nearly an hour and a half, which I think is how long we were last week, so that's not too bad. So for the ratings this week, AEW came in 31st on cable television. They got a .30 in the 1849 demo with a grand total of 762 viewers. Now, that doesn't sound great, but you've got to remember they were going head to head with a literal impeachment. The second impeachment of Donald Trump was happening whilst AEW was on. Next week, we get the inauguration of a president while AEW was on. The week before, we got a literal coup of the United States. One could argue that AEW is in a bad slot to go against politics. Maybe just unlucky, but thankfully we've only got one more week of this political stupidity for at least 4 years. Please. NXT, on the other hand, they didn't, like, I would say that in the statistics, AEW actually done not that bad this week. With all the news that was happening, I expected them to do so much lower, like what they did in the previous weeks. But they actually did a lot better than I thought. Like, I thought at most they would get maybe 700,000 total viewers. But no, they, even against news, which historically, for the year and a bit AEW's been in existence, one of the main things that has pulled viewers away from AEW on its first showing on a Wednesday night in America is news and current affairs. So it's really cool to see that AEW is actually fighting back against news. Now, one could say that people just don't give a shit about the impeachment of Donald Trump. However, if we look at the NXT ratings, we can see that NXT came 70th of the night. They only got a 0.14 in the demo, and they only amassed 551,000 total viewers, which is terrible. It's really, really bad. Now, so it's like I was saying there, it's AEW is starting to fight back against the news, but it's quite obvious that NXT is not managing to fight back against the news. This tells me that AEW it's been a slow build and it's slow in coming, but AEW are generating more fans. They're generating more loyal fans who are willing to come back and watch AEW instead of watching important news, which may have either sucked them away before or sucked someone else away and took that viewer away. I think NXT, WWE really need to think about where the slot that NXT is on. They don't need to be on that time. They don't need to counter program AEW. The whole concept of why NXT is on USA Network at the same time as AEW is pathetic. It's childish. WWE have went on record. They only put that show on at that time to try and take viewers away from AEW. And yeah, it may work to a small degree. I mean, we know it works to a small degree because when AEW is on Challenge, they get a lot more viewers. But in the long run, it's starting to affect WWE big time. And at what point will NXT lose so much viewers that it doesn't matter if they change channel, it won't save it? That's my worry for NXT, because I don't really watch WWE now. I don't watch NXT, but I want them to succeed because wrestling is what I love. Like, I love a strong wrestling scene, because if there's a strong wrestling scene, strong wrestlers, strong bookers, strong media types, then we all get entertained. We all get what we like. People that want to entertain can entertain. People that want entertainment can get the entertainment, and people that just want to watch a good fake fight can get to watch a good fake fight. And I mean that with the utmost respect, because I have done the fake fighting before, and I have got I've had the bruises to prove it. But that is everything for me this week. So if you have been watching and listening, thank you very much. Hopefully, I mean, what I'm hoping for with the Ganzo Bomb is that we get more views after the fact, like as a video podcast on YouTube or Twitch and all that. So please, if you've seen this on YouTube or whatever, or Twitch, follow us. If you're watching this anywhere else, please come to Twitch. It is twitch.tv/voice Britannia. Follow us on there. If you've got a free subscription, subscribe, because all that stuff helps. And it helps us make more content, more stuff. I want to entertain. Help me entertain by subscribing to my channel. That would be pretty badass, I think. And that's it for this week. I'll be back on Monday with Potpourri. I don't know what I'm going to... I've got no idea what I'm going to do on the show. I mean, I was speaking to Satan the other day. I did consider getting him on the show sometime. That might sound random, but I actually mean it. But yeah, I've got no idea. So I'll be back on Twitch on Monday afternoon. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and I bid you all adieu.